Hi there. I just want to say thank you so much for those that have subscribed to this channel. And if you haven't, I want to thank you in advance for your support. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for joining me. I just wanted to say it's a pleasure every time you tune in and choose to be with me. And I so appreciate it. I want to make a quick video because I've been watching other people making their videos and basically reminiscing of what it was like when they were actually active caregivers. I can say I used to be an active caregiver. My parents have passed away since then, but there's things post caregiving that I'm realizing needs to have attention. Um, some people may not want to deal with it. Some people are currently dealing with issues, and I can definitely say that everything has a price. I was watching Chris Punsalan. He's on a new trajectory of what his life is like post caregiving of his grandmother. He's got a huge following. He's hooked up with a gal by the name of Shauna from Northern California who started a caregiving support application called Tender Care. And he just released this video today, and it inspired me to speak about similar types of things of trying to find out what your niche is after caregiving. And Chris is trying to figure that out. And I remembered in their conversation, because Shauna is currently taking care of her dad, who has Alzheimer's. He's still with her. And she said something that was poignant in this documentary. And I'm going to put a link to that documentary at the bottom of this video. But she said, none of us choose to go into this, and we're kind of thrown into caregiving by way of something negative happening, a negative experience. And I thought, you know what? You're right. That is exactly so. What's with my glasses? But she's right. And I thought, okay, how did I get into the caregiving thing with my mom? And it was, she fell. She had head trauma. And that also came to the ER tech at the hospital saying, who's going to be with her? There was nobody else to be there with her. And I realized that things weren't not 100%. Things were not even 75%. They were like barely holding on to 50%. I had already known something was up. I just didn't want to face it. And I admit to it. But in the process of going into the mode of caregiving, I realized I was in solo care. The people that I had considered my support were not available. My immediate family was not available. I was it. And it made sense to do that, but I literally was it. And life goes on without you. And that isolation of knowing, hey, wait a minute, this has now interrupted my life. My way of being on a daily basis has now been interrupted by an immediate attention of caring for someone else. And I don't know anybody that can adjust to it smoothly and make it a transition that's like, wow, perfect. No. And it feels good to hear Chris, who's spent all this time making these little tiny snippet videos of him and his grandmother and how he cares for her, how he gave up his 20s for 8 or 9 years of his life to care for his grandmother, willingly to do it. But he documented a lot of things. But it's now after she has passed, his grandmother has passed, that I hear him admit of the feelings of isolation, of loneliness, of resentment. Because honestly, I would watch this guy and I'm like, oh my God, he could do it. He's a lot younger. Suck it up, buttercup, to myself, right? And I realized, wow, you felt the resentment towards your family as well. You had these struggles too. You never once said that before, but now he's talking about it. Here, I was just kind of expressing it. Why don't you understand? Friends don't call, they don't visit. They figure you're busy or they're busy. They just don't consider what it's like to be an active caregiver to someone else. They don't even understand your situation. The crazy thing about it is when Chris brought up resentment and how he felt towards his family, I understand that. If we're going to get real, let's get real. It didn't matter how much I expressed how I felt to my family that was not present, because they're never going to understand it. But I didn't understand that at the time. And sometimes as a caregiver, as you're struggling to understand even this thing that you're in, or the thing that your loved one is going through, or trying to get caught up in the program because you realize that when they were independent and they were doing their own thing, they weren't taking care of themselves. So you literally have to be an investigator, a detective, to figure out, okay, where are we in this game plan? Where exactly are we? It's wanting to be heard as a caregiver. It's wanting to be seen. And when nobody looks at you, maybe because they don't realize that you need attention, maybe they don't want to give you attention. They don't want to be part of that because it makes them feel uncomfortable, which is another thing. When you experience grief because after caregiving, your loved one has passed on, people don't want to deal with you then either because they don't know what to do. The blessing in all of this is you start to see people for who they really are. And then you have to deal with, oh my gosh, is this really who they are? It's like you're getting hit on all sides. It's not fun, but it's a reality. I remember telling someone, hey, I can't always be present because of my obligations as a caregiver, but it would be nice if you just invited me. Even if you invited me, it allows me to feel like I belong. It makes me feel like I'm included in something. And you never know. Maybe the provision would be made and I could afford to get a caregiver for the amount of time so that I can join family events or something that's happening. But just the acknowledgement of being included in anything that might be happening, instead of being brushed over saying, oh, well, they're busy, they can never make it, so we just won't bother. As a person that is a caregiver, it means everything to be acknowledged. It means everything to be seen or given the opportunity to possibly join in for just a small amount of time. You never know. Maybe there's someone you could hire for a few hours, get away from the mundane, the monotony of what you go through all the time. But people on the outside don't see that. And that feeling is immense to a caregiver, to be acknowledged, but it's equally, if not more, immense in pain and isolation when you're not included in anything. You see, your patient needs stimulation. It's kind of like new parents that have a baby. Sometimes, people say, "Oh, you're busy. You got a newborn. You're doing this, you're doing that." And after a while, time goes on and you don't see any other parents, but that's why they created Mommy and Me. You want to have some stimulation with other people that understand you with where you're at. You want to understand other adults, what they're going through. You find your own people. That's what I did. I looked and I sought and I found a group of caregivers that understood what the trench was like, what the battle was all about, that could meet me where I was at. New parents do that with Mommy and Me. They have play dates. It is for the children, but it's more for the adult that is caught into this cycle. Same thing as caregiving. And, people can meet you where you're at. So the dilemma is trying to figure out how to forge your way through this new adventure, this new journey of caregiving, because you realize the simplest things become the most difficult. Well, if it's me and I feel isolated, no one's here to help me, just how do I go grocery shopping? I found out that I needed to figure out Mom's pattern, her sleeping routine, what she could, what she couldn't do, where I saw pockets and windows of time to escape. Literally, I went to the grocery store as a field trip to kind of get away and be around people. I know it sounds crazy, but going to the grocery store was a big deal for me. It was like an hour to get away. I had Mom on camera, hoping that she would continue to sleep. I saw a pattern. She always took a nap around this time. You bet that's when I made the most of it. But little things like that. How do you get these things done? It's thinking about, how do I maneuver and get her to doctor's appointments? What's a good time to have a doctor appointment? These are all things that you need to figure out. It all comes into play, but you're doing it by yourself. Hey, what a blessing it is when your family steps up and joins you and takes that burden and lessens it for you. My sister came in. She lives in another state. But when she came in for 5 days. I'm grateful for those 5 days. But when it was like every 3 to 4 to 6 months, add up how many days that is out of 5. Even if there's 12 months in a year and you do that 4 months, every 4 months, think about how many days. If you did it 4 times out of the year at 5 days, that's 20 days out of 365. It puts things in perspective. The crazy thing is she never took her to appointments because all the appointments were on other dates. She took her out when she could. She made it a social event. But the hard days, the days of really getting in and dealing with all this stuff, it was hard. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I was ungrateful, but it really is nothing in comparison to being there 24/7. Those were little respite times for myself, times that I needed to restore so that I could be energized and go back. And the longer that this went on, the harder it became. Towards the end of my life, my sister ended up coming, immediately wondering, how long do I have to be here? I'm sorry, mom's dying. It's going to be as long as it takes. And I remember tearfully asking the hospice nurse, my sister's going to leave again. How do I do this by myself? And the hospice nurse basically said, I'm sorry, you can't do this by yourself anymore. You literally need two people here. Hey, I didn't tell my sister that. The hospice nurse said it. It needed to be understood. I couldn't do it anymore. What am I getting at? I'm getting at the point that it takes a lot. It takes a lot from an individual to be a caregiver. It takes a lot. And there's a lot of pain involved in it because while you're physically demanded to do things that you're not prepared to do and mentally prepared to do, you step up to the plate and you do it. And somehow, some way, you give him the grace by God to do this. It isn't easy, but it is worth it. If you would have told me that the entire time, I would have laughed and said, there's just no way. But my mom's gone now. And that isolating feeling, I don't know one caregiver that does not feel that. I have a support group of caregivers that understand that, but I had to go find them. And before I found them, it was so isolating, I thought I was going crazy. And the maddening thing about it is, even though my family and my friends knew that I was going through this, they still didn't get it. And they made you feel like you were crazy. Oh, get yourself together. You could do this. But see, those words, it just only proved that they didn't know what it was like. You ask any caregiver how they feel before they speak to somebody that's also a caregiver. So, to all the caregivers that are out there, know that you're not alone. There are resources out there. I went to Dementia Careblazers, headed up by Dr. Natali Edmonds. YouTube has a lot of things if you look up caregiving. Chris Punsalan, he has a lot of tips and things out there also. There's Teepa Snow, Hospice Nurse Julie. I know she's a hospice nurse, but she gives some good tips as well. There's so many things out there. I would hope that I at least am sharing some things so that you don't feel alone as well. And that some of the resources that I have listed down below might be able to help you as well. Just know that you're not alone. Just know it does get better. Yes, the ending is always sad because we all know where it ends up going. But you can do this. You can do this. In the meantime, just remember you're blessed. You've been chosen and set apart to do this. There's certain people that cannot do this, and there's certain people that can. For whatever reason, you're blessed to be able to do this. You will realize that. If not immediately, you'll realize it at the end. But remember, always be good to yourself. Yes, I hate that phrase self-care. I can't stand it. It's it's so generic and I don't know. But you know what? There is there's a percentage of time and grace that you need to give yourself. And that's what I mean by that. Always remember to be good to yourself. That's it. In the meantime, you take care.